welcome back to a fantasy update video with me, JD. You're joining me post round 16. I think this is my second update for the year, and the team's been traveling pretty well. So a few people have been asking just for a quick update, so we'll get that done today. Go through the team. So as you can see here, I scored 2594 for the round, which I think placed me equal ninth for the round for scores, which is, well, definitely my highest result this year. It's actually probably the only top time I've ever gone top 10 around on either format, actually, now I think about it. And I'm 54th overall for this format, which is pretty good. Yeah, first year playing, season history. So you can see here, like, the last three rounds I've kind of all had in the top, round rank 294, round rank 252, round rank, it says 11, but it's tied ninth, I know it is. So yeah, like I've had three really good weeks in a row, and you can kind of see, I think pre-buys I was sitting just inside the top 900. There I was, 900 there. And then yeah, just had positive weeks each. So each of the buy rounds moved up a little bit, 735, 701. I can't remember what that was. It's like 300 and something. And then it's not going to show there. But then last week I was 191st, I want to say, and now 54th overall, I think I said I was. Yeah, so like clearly some pretty big scores here. And this is all right. Like I started out strong. I started out with like a good rank here, but definitely dipped. Holding English for 5 weeks didn't help through the middle. Well, it didn't help at that point, but it did kind of help once we got to this part, which is probably why I've excelled. My captain and vice captain's been really good. I had a look at this during the week. So like I went Oliver here. But I've only had three scores under 120. That I took. So this one here was a Neil 97. This one here, Brayshaw 116. And this one here, Brayshaw 95. Everything else has been over 120. My captain average for the year is about 129. So it's been a good part of the game for me. So in terms of the team here, I think I have the best team in the top 100. To be honest, I haven't gone through every team in detail, but just from the ones I've sampled, I think I've got the best team, which is a good spot to be in because hopefully I can hold a hat ranking and maybe even push towards top 10. I'm about 580 points or 530 points, I want to say, from first. So that seems pretty unachievable with 7 weeks. I think I calculated I need to make up something like 80 or 90 points a week from here to the end to beat first, which seems unlikely, to be honest. Even if I do have the best team, that's like a full premium a week that you've got to score over someone, which I just don't think is likely. I think a lot would have to go wrong for those ahead of me for that to happen. And then I want to say I was about 230 or 240 points away from 10th. So that would be about 30 points around, I want to say. So that seems more realistic to make up. So maybe a top 10 finish is possible, but I think actually winning it from here is probably not achievable. I mean, you can make up 100, 200 points around. I definitely did this week. I just don't think it's going to keep happening. I'll go through like what my points of differences are to make this happen, but I just don't think it's going to happen. So just quickly looking at the team. So in defense, can I show last round scores? Probably helps. So yes, I've got the three big dogs in defense in Doherty, Dawson, and Sinclair. Doherty I got 2 weeks ago by doing a luxury upgrade of Sicily to him. Sinclair I got on his buy. I traded him in during that round. And then Dawson I started. So yeah, these three have been good. And then Whitfield I got after his return, and then Short and Hewitt I've had since the start. Short is the one that I'm a little bit worried about. I guess the only nice thing about the Tigers is that they've got a soft run. I think they've got North in 2 weeks. So the other thing is with already having Sinclair, Dawson, and Doherty, there's no one really to upgrade him to. So I'm pretty happy to have him as my sixth best defender for now. The only person I could really look at is Crisp, I guess. So my two big points of difference compared to the top 100 here are Crisp and Sicily, who are both, like, I want to say like 80, 90% owned in the top 100 and about that in the top 10 as well. So Crisp's, they both had down games last week, which definitely helped me make up points. None of these defenders are actually incredibly unique. I think Sinclair's still like sub 40%. Doherty's maybe like mid 50s in the top 100. So it's more like the combination of Doherty, Sinclair, and Whitfield, I think, is quite unique. Maybe even Dawson's not entirely owned. So yeah, it's just the fact I've got all of them and Whitfield is probably what makes me unique, and then no Crisp and Sicily. Crisp has North this week, so I imagine he's going to score pretty well, and I think Sicily's got a good matchup too, right? That's one thing I don't like about. Oh, he's got Adelaide. Yes, he's got a nice matchup. So I think I could lose points in defense this week just because they both have really good matchups. We'll see. Bench is very dead in defense. I picked Marchbank over Ware for the job security, which is hasn't worked out well. Hasn't worked out well, and you'll see like my team value is on the top side, but I have very little money on my bench outside of Macomb, and most of my value is actually on the field, which is where I'm getting a big advantage. And thankfully, I don't have too many upgrades left in terms of like luxury because Cheetahs could get dropped this week. Owens doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon unless Saints get injuries to the midfield. Teakle's still like 4 weeks away, and Lysett will be back, so I don't think he's getting a role. Macomb is alive and well. Judson Clark, I can't see coming back unless something happens to Rioli Jr. or Lambert or both. And even then, I'm not sure he gets straight back in. And then Reef's done for the season. So, yeah, a lot of dead rookies here. A lot of dead rookies. So I've been trying to get cover with my 1-up, 1-downs as I like fix my team. But yeah, Cheetahs probably gets dropped again this week. Maybe I fix Marchbank this week. We'll see. All right, in the midfield, so this is probably where my team really shines. I think I've got 7 of the top 8 midfielders. I'm just missing one. This week, my vice captain was McRae, and I captained Oliver. Oliver was a really obvious captain this week. I'm surprised by how many people went Mills over him. I know Mills had a good game against Essendon earlier in the year, but this is Oliver's favorite matchup. Maybe it's just because people don't play Supercoach, I don't know, but he's gone 200 and 190 or something against. No, he's gone 200 twice against Crows the last 3. And like, if you don't know, only a few 200s ever happen in the game. So between that and him being like the informed midfielder of the comp, like this just seemed like such an obvious captain to me, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't have Mills. It felt really obvious to me. Otherwise, like Laird was the other one, even with the shoulder lies that people keep getting up on about him a week. I mean, this is just crazy. So midfield obviously really went well. I think the only one that didn't score well was McRae. Steele was the new recruit this week. I traded Cripps on for him. That was a luxury sideways, and that was pretty nice. That was a 30-point gain or something like that, and it should continue to gain me more points into perpetuity. So really happy with that. The only one that's in here that's probably not obviously top 8 is Merritt, but he's had 2 good weeks in a row, 118, 128. So happy enough with him for now. Let him make a bit more money. I'm assuming his break-even's probably quite low now. So even though he's had those 2 poor games. So just see if he keeps it up, great. If not, I'll figure out which midfielder I want to turn him into. I'll probably look at fixtures or something like that. It could be Mills once he's dropped a bit more cash. Like he dropped 53k. So if I could get to the point where Merritt to Mills is a straight swap with no money, that'd be a pretty good position. I'd look at doing that. Guthrie's been in good form and got a good fixture, but I wouldn't pay up for, like, this isn't a high priority. Kelly and Walsh are probably the 2 that I'd quite like. But Walsh hasn't been as good, bit up and down, bit inconsistent. So I don't feel like this is a must-have to get all like clearly top 8 over Merritt. And Kelly's fixture does start to get more difficult. I think it's after this week. Yeah, so Brisbane, Carlton, Swans the next 2 after this week. And then he's got Dogs and Freo the last 2 with just Essendon in the middle. So that's 5 of 6, like really tough games to run home. So I don't think Josh Kelly's what I want to bring in either. So, and Human Cluggage is obviously the one that's in pretty good form at the moment. Their run homes, like, so, not great. They've got no easy kills, but he's obviously been in really nice form. I just don't think I want to pay up like 80-ish K for a speculative mid when there's probably better upgrades I can do. But yeah, I think the 7 of the other 8 are probably top of the line. Oh, there's actually 2 cheaper ones, which I think are interesting, which is Parrish and Petrarca. Petrarca looks like he's found his form back after that, flu and knee problems in the middle of the season. Their fixture, like run home's not like amazing either, so doesn't feel like a must-have. And then Parrish, still got North, Collingwood, GWS, Port, Richmond. These are all teams that can give up points to the midfield or could be wins. So yeah, he's the other one that's like really cheap. So, if Parrish continues to drop in price just because he's probably still got a high break even after the what was it, the 30 and then an 84. Like if he drops price the next couple of weeks and I could downgrade Merritt to Parish for money, like that's always an option if it meant I could do another upgrade the same week. So then in terms of points of differences, like Rory Laird, I think is like only 65-ish% owned, I want to say, but 100% in the top 10. Clary is surprisingly under-owned. I think everyone's got Neil. Brayshaw's like 70% in the top 100, which surprised me because he was quite under-owned at the start of the year. McRae's heavily owned. Miller's heavily owned. Merritt's pretty heavily owned, like a 55-60%. And then Steele's one that's only at like 23-25%, which is quite unique. Once again, like it's not so much who I've got in my team. I think these are all pretty common picks. It's more who I don't have in my team. So Mills, Kelly are probably the two top ones that I don't have. Kelly obviously went big this week, but a lot of people had Mills and captain him. So him doing poor was particularly good for me, combined with like Sicily and Chris doing poor. Like that's three of the heavily owned antipods I don't have dropping poor scores, which is really nice. In the rucks, so Cameron Darcy, I think this is probably the most common 1-2 ruck combo in the top 100 as of this week. Some people had Rob, who is making up big points on Darcy. Some people have Witts, who's losing points to Darcy for the most part, although last week he obviously did pretty well. This 107 is pretty disappointing considering the opposition he was against, so I'm looking at moving on Darcy soon. And then Cameron, he's got three really nice matchups. Where are they? North, Adelaide, Essendon, the next three. So I think continuing to hold Cameron until... I mean, I guess the only thing is with rucks, right? North's got good rucks. Rob's in decent form at the moment. So, that's one thing to consider. But given that Grundy's not back, Cameron's number one ruck, I think I can probably hold him for a few more weeks if I want to. And then... but yeah, Darcy's probably the more immediate one to move on, and then maybe look at moving Cameron as well. And then the forward line here, so Dunkley, Cogs, Bont, Parker, I think are all pretty obvious top six. Taranto showed that he could still do it this week, and then Himmelberg's the other one I had, who's been really good. Jumped on him somewhat early. I think I jumped on him after the 161, so 99, 117, 66. Made a bunch of money, which is good. And is probably at the point now where he is one of my weaker players, so I could trade him on if I wanted to. Like, I definitely don't have to, and I'd like to see him probably play against Port. But I'm at the point now where my weakest players on each line, so Short, I think I can hold, at least there's no one obvious to upgrade to. Merritt, I think I can hold, and there's no one obvious to upgrade to. Darcy, Cameron, and Himmelberg probably are the three next that'll go. And then I think I'm happy with everyone else. So in terms of trade plans, there's two things I could do this week. I can move on English now coming back from concussion and get rid of Himmelberg and Marchbank for probably Burgoyne. And then next week I'll look at moving on Darcy to Gorn and downgrading Macomb to someone and accessing this money. And then I think the week after that, Baslenka will be back. And so I'd move on Cameron for Baslenka if everything goes to plan. Oh, and by the way, like the forwards that I don't have, so Brody is probably the big one that I don't own the forward line. Who's like very heavily owned. So I need him to do poorly, which hasn't been the case since I traded him out at his buy. Lib has been really good, but I'm not going to bring him in. Yeah, so I think Himmelberg, Darcy, and Cameron are probably my three weakest here that I could look at moving on. Himmelberg is low owned. I think it's only like 11 to 15% in the top 100. Darcy is decently owned. I want to say this is like somewhere between 40 and 60%. Maybe it's 60%. And then Cameron's quite heavily owned, or at least he should be. In my forward line, Taranto's probably one that's the least owned. I picked him up 2 weeks ago. I traded out. What did I trade out for you, Taranto? I can't even remember now. But I copped his 50, 56, and then got the 125. And then, yeah, I mean, the other four are pretty easy. So, yeah, so I think it's Himmelberg out this week. I'd probably prefer to move Darcy over Himmelberg. But with the trades I'm doing, I don't think it's going to be happening. And then next week, it's Darcy for Gone. My other option, if I don't feel comfortable with English this week, is to just do a double downgrade. So I could like downgrade Marchbank and Macomb to Bedendo and Burgoyne, for example. And then if both English and Gorn look good, upgrade both of them next week. And it gives me another week to look at all of Cameron, Darcy, Himmelberg. But if I'm going to have a real like throw at the stumps for that top 10 finish, I probably do need to keep upgrading this week and not play it safe just so I can get the extra points on the field. But there's a big chance that like Himmelberg outscores English this week, which would be the scary part. But yeah, I think my trades this week will be Marchbank out for Burgoyne. And then Himmelberg out for English. There you go. So that would mean the last upgrade in my forward line would be Bailey Smith when he's back, and that'll be moving English into one of the rucks. The other ruck will then go to Gorn. In the midfield, I don't know what Zach Merritt will eventually become. It'll probably depend on who catches fire in fixtures. And then in defence, I think I'm going to hold short until Stewart returns and then trade Stewart. So it could be this week English, next week Gorn, week after Bailey Smith, week after that Stewart, week after that whatever I want to do with Zach Merritt. And that'd be my next 5 trades, and I'd have a pretty smashing team. So yeah, just trying to stay ahead one or 2 weeks ahead of the competition at the moment, which is how I can hopefully continue to make up ground, like that 40 points a week or whatever I need to be top 10, and just keep doing that. In terms of captain, vice captain this week, I think it's a pretty obvious choice of Neil into Oliver. I think it's Oliver into Neil. Oliver has quite a good track record against the Cats. I'll wait for Calvin's captains to see what he says. But I know he's got a good record in Supercoach. Funnily enough, English has a good record against the Swans as well. But I'm not sure I'd be comfortable vice captaining him on return. Neil has a really good record against Essendon, like an amazing record against Essendon. Some people may be like getting Mills deja vu right here, but I'm very comfortable with Neil. Different beast. But yeah, Neil into Laird would be the other one that's quite interesting, but I'm trading out the loophole that could make it possible in Marchbank, and I have to make a decision that in 3/4 time, which I probably don't want to do. So I think it'll be Oliver into Neil this week. I think. But yeah, that's the team in a good spot. Obviously, not much bank left. Team value's okay. It's all on the field though, which is the best part. Like, really, there's no rookie over 280k apart from Macomb. And even that's going to be broken next week, so I can get Darcy up to Gorn. That should work, right? How much is Gorn? 845. I'm sure he's got a pretty high break even. Darcy 700, so it's 150. Macomb Downs over 200. It's like 230 or 200 to whoever it is. So yeah, I should be able to do that trade next week. Cool. But yeah, that's the team. That's the update. If we keep going up, might do a few more of these just to keep people in the loop, see how it's going. Probably not make them this long, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you think there's a better trade than this, please let me know. I did play around with stuff like, what if I traded McRae down to Petrarca and open up McRae as a point of difference? And then use that money to still do something like a Himmelberg to English. Or I could get rid of Macomb this week and go Darcy to English instead of Himmelberg to English, which might be a better play. Freo have St Kilda this week with Marshall and Ryder, and that's one of Darcy's worst matchups, I want to say. So, like, I'm somewhat considering moving on Darcy for English this week instead of Himmelberg, but might just have to check break evens. I know like break evens don't matter too much at this point in the year, but when you don't have any cash left on the bench, like if I had a Ware here instead of a Marchbank and I was making an extra 150k this week, it wouldn't matter. But for me, I'm actually like quite razor thin on capping this team out perfectly. All right. Anyway, thanks. Let me know if you've got any better ideas. Otherwise, I'll see you for the next update.